Kate Greville lied about the results of a smear test, which she says she had to do to get him off her back. The former Manchester United footballer denies all 3 counts of abusive and controlling behaviour. Sky's Caterina Vizzotti is at the trial where details emerged of their COVID lockdown.
She felt ashamed at her decision to move in with Mr Giggs. By this point, she said she had already been assaulted by him. She said that the experience was utter hell, but the defence presented to the jury videos of the couple making TikTok videos, say that there were happy times, that you've been very selective about not sharing during your evidence.
At least 34 people have been injured too severely in a roller coaster crash at Legoland in southern Germany. Reports suggest 2 trains hit each other on the park's Fire Dragon ride. Last week, a woman died in another roller coaster accident in the country. That's it for now. We'll have more in an hour.
News Talk weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. Flying you to over 200 destinations is our business. What you do there is yours.
Dry, clear and very warm. There'll be calm conditions in most places, although sea breezes will develop. Highest temperatures generally 24 to 29 degrees, but locally higher in parts of Leinster and Munster. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Your chance to win big. News Talk's Summer Cash Machine.
So 4 people this week were too busy soaking up the sun to notice Barry was calling them with the cash machine call. That means we have a huge amount of cash on the line with yet another rollover. If you entered since 5 o'clock last Friday, you're still in the draw, but you need to know the new number, which is a astonishing €55,498.07. That is €55,498.07. Text play to 57557. That's 57557. Get your entry in by 3 o'clock tomorrow. If the phone rings, answer it within 5 rings and tell them the exact amount in euro and cent. Remember, it is €55,498.07. Over 18s only. Text costs $2.50 plus your standard message rate. And terms and conditions are on newstalk.com.
The Football Show on Off the Ball.
With Sky. Watch every live Premier League game this season on Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports.
I'm prepared to do anything I can to play for my country again.
Do it then. What about your start to the game?
It wasn't bad, was it?
Why should an honest answer be a mistake?
How can a modern day manager not have a mobile phone?
Why should he?
It is Thursday's Football Show. Nathan with you, John Giles coming up in just a moment, but it's still St Patrick's Athletic 0, Cesca Sofia 1 on the night in Tala. There's 20 minutes remaining. It's 1-1 on aggregate. So as it stands in the Europa Conference League qualifier, it is going to extra time. We get across to Stephen Doyle in a few minutes on that. Sligo Rovers, really, their European campaign was over last week when they were beaten 5-1 by Viking, but they have ended on a high, a 1-0 victory tonight against Vikings. So 5-2 on aggregate, but a good victory this evening for Sligo Rovers. Live commentary continues of the Premier League this Sunday on Off the Ball. It is Nottingham Forest against West Ham first up. We will have Brian Kerr and Richie McCormack talking you through that one. And then the biggest game of the season so far, Chelsea against Spurs. And that is going to be with Steve-O, and he'll be alongside Vinnie Perth for that one from Stamford Bridge. Now, John Giles is on the line. Good evening, John.
Evening, Nathan.
So, opening weekend of the season done, and the more things change, the more they say the same for Manchester United. A disastrous start for Eric Ten Hag. Beaten 2-1 last weekend by Brighton, but totally outclassed for long periods of the game. Very lucky that it was just 2-1, that there wasn't a penalty given against them. Maybe Scott McTominay could have got sent off. It's hard to think how it could have gone much worse for Ten Hag.
Well, it was very poor, Nathan, as you quite rightly say. There, you know, the new manager Ten Hag, I don't know what he's looking for in the lead up to it, Nathan, because he's still got the Ronaldo problem, and it is a big problem. As we know, last week he played a friendly match, I think, and he was taken off in the second half and went home before the players came in. You know, you can't put up with that and then play him again on the weekend. You know, you're looking for morale in the team. He's a new manager. He's trying to get the players in. He has got hardly any players in, to be quite honest. So we don't know whether he's being backed in the transfer market or not. But with the players that he has at his disposal, he has to make his mind up about Ronaldo. I see Danny Murphy had a article in the paper last week, and Graham Souness in I think the same paper. Graham was for Ronaldo staying at the club, and Danny Murphy was against Ronaldo staying at the club. And I must say, I'd have to go with Danny Murphy on that, Nathan.
You think he should go?
I think he should go. I mean, there's an old saying, there's no player bigger than the club. And it's getting to the stage now, or it has been the last few weeks, that Ronaldo seems to be able to do what he wants to do. His agent apparently has a deal lined up, and Manchester United won't release him or won't sell him. So he's got to make his mind up what he's going to do. If it was my choice, I would sell him out of the club and start from scratch then.
The starting from scratch might be the difficulty, it seems, for Ten Hag. As you say, has he been backed in the transfer market? There was speculation last weekend that they were going to go after Marko Arnautovic, well into his 30s, never set the world alight. Certainly doesn't look like a player of the calibre for a Manchester United of the world, that he almost has to keep Ronaldo because he doesn't have anybody else. Or is Ronaldo now just such a toxic influence that he's better off having nobody to lead the line? A Christian Eriksen playing a false nine than having Cristiano Ronaldo around the club?
Well, I think the first move would be to get Ronaldo out of the club, and then look and see what you've got after that. I don't think you're ever going to get anywhere with Ronaldo. Ronaldo obviously wants to go. He stated to the club ages ago that he wanted to go. I think his agent has a deal lined up. You can't run a club like that, Nathan. What's morale? How do you create a good morale in the club? It's everybody pulling together and playing for the team, playing for the club, and you get a team spirit. Well, if you've got a player like Ronaldo, an outstanding player like him, and a personality, who obviously has stated that he wants to get away, he leaves the club last week before the players came in from the pitch. It's like you can't run a club like that. I mean, if you look at all the great managers, you go back to Ferguson. Ferguson wouldn't stand for anything like that, and you have to lay down the law that this is what you're going to do. I know he's only new, he's only just come in. Whether he's been backed in the transfer market, we don't know. But we do know about the Ronaldo problem, and it shouldn't be a problem now. That problem should be taken out of the way as quickly as possible.
Looking at the players who started the game then and what Ten Hag was trying to do, and maybe Ronaldo not being available is a big part of that, but starting with Christian Eriksen as that sort of false nine, as they call it, so no out-and-out striker, and Eriksen playing as the most advanced player. Did that ever look like it was going to work?
I don't think so, Nathan. I mean, we know what Eriksen, what type of player Eriksen is, and he's a very, very good midfield player. And again, it's only common sense. You play your best players in the best position. So it certainly didn't make sense to me. And then I think when things were bad, they put him back in the holding midfield player position. It's a very bad sign actually for a new manager to actually be doing things like that. Now he is new; he hasn't been there a long time, but you don't have to be there a long time to know the Ronaldo situation and the best position for Eriksen. They weren't playing Barcelona at their best. This is. They're playing Brighton, who are a very, very well organised side. But Brighton weren't lucky, as we said early on, Nathan, to win the match. They won the match well and could have won it by more. I mean, how they didn't get a penalty and McTominay sent off, you mentioned early on, was unbelievable. So it wasn't a lucky win by Brighton. Brighton were the better team. And, Manchester United were well beaten. So he's a lot to do. And how many players has he brought in, Nathan?
Well, he brought in Lisandro Martinez at the back, and he obviously started at centre back. Terrell Malaysia, who is left back, full back, and then Christian Eriksen. Well,
they obviously need more than that. And I know he hasn't been there a long time, but you would have thought in the time that he's been there, he would get 2 or 3 signings in, really, really top-class signings. And you mentioned early on the players he went for, a couple of the players he went for, would be what I would consider to be top players for a manager. I mean, and again, you have to ask, Nathan, is he in charge of who's coming and gone?
Yeah.
We don't know. I mean, at the moment, if I was having to guess, I'd say no. Ronaldo's still there, and players that haven't come in, is he in charge of it? It doesn't look like it. And a manager coming in the position that Manchester United in has to be totally in charge of who to get rid of and who to bring in. And that doesn't seem to be the case. And it's very, very difficult. It's a very difficult job for him anyway. But if he's not getting the support, then it's going to get worse.
It does look as though they've wasted the summer chasing Frankie de Jong for that central midfield position, that he doesn't want to go to the club, and that they will have to go further down their list, maybe to Adrian Rabiot, maybe they end up with somebody else as well. But the current midfield always takes a huge amount of criticism. Fred and Scott McTominay, and it was a similar situation. In terms of their quality, if you put a top-class midfielder alongside them, so not every good team has world-class players in every position, but if you were to put one in, if you were to put a Declan Rice or a Frankie de Jong alongside a Fred or Scott McTominay, are they good enough to play in a good team? Are they just not anywhere near the level of the good midfielders that you see?
Well, if you got a top midfield player in, Nathan, it would improve the situation. There's no doubt about that. But what's happened to Fernandes? You know, he hasn't kicked a ball for them. And all I see him is moaning and groaning about it. But of course, if you got a top midfield player in, the more you get in, the better. Obviously, it would be a help. But I don't think it'd be enough, just one coming in. I think they need about 4 or 5 top-class players coming into Manchester United to make them the club that they're expected to be. I mean, this is Manchester United. You know, they should have top players coming into the club. Look at the players Liverpool are bringing in. And Manchester City. No, they're spending money and they're the top clubs. So in Manchester United's case, they're starting from scratch, really, with the players that they have. But I could never see McTominay or Fred being good enough, really good enough to compete against Liverpool and Manchester City for Manchester United. They just don't have the players at the moment, and they don't look like getting them. That's the problem.
You mentioned Brighton, just a quick word on them, because their performance was obviously completely overshadowed by the Manchester United side of it, and Graham Potter and the job that he's doing there. It does feel like only a matter of time before he gets one of the good gigs.
Well, he's been fantastic, Nathan. You know, he lost one of his top players there to Chelsea, didn't he, the fullback, in the summer. And he's still producing. They're a team. You know, probably none of them individually will get into the Manchester United team, but he has them playing as a team. Good balance in the team, good organisation, and on the game on the weekend, there was no look about them. You know, they won it well, Nathan. So that's good management. Now, to be fair to the new manager coming in at Manchester United, he's had little or no time to really put his stamp on it. But I go back to the Ronaldo session. He could have put his stamp on that, and maybe get another 1 or 2 top players in. But we don't know the situation with the board, whether they're backing him or not, Nathan. That's the problem. The first thing they've got to do is get a manager in who they're going to give control, have to back, and that doesn't look like the case at the moment. And if that doesn't improve, the situation could only get worse.
And it doesn't look like they want that manager at Manchester United. When you think of when Antonio Conte was available, and I know a lot of Manchester United supporters, a lot of the pundits felt, well, you know, he's not a Manchester United manager anyways because of the style of football that he likes to play, but also a feeling that he's so demanding that the United hierarchy just couldn't cope with that. Whereas you look at what he's doing already with Tottenham. Listen, I know it's 1 week of the season, but even what he did at the latter end of last season, it looks like such a missed opportunity.
Oh, he was there for the taking, Nathan. And I saw a comment from one of the directors or owners of the club where he said the group of players we have at Manchester United doesn't suit Conte. You know, this is absolute nonsense of football. When it's the manager that wants the players in that he wants, not the other way round, Nathan. In other words, if he comes in with the players that he has at Chelsea and other clubs that he's been at, right? He didn't get new players straight away. He made the best of what was there. And if United had got him in with the players that they had, actually were very talented players, I think he would have made a team of them, a really top team. But I don't think they wanted a Conte coming in because Conte would insist or demand that he would be in charge of the comings and goings of the players, like he has done at Tottenham. I don't think any of the managers at Tottenham had the power that he has now. And look what he's doing with them. You know, from the time he's come in, qualified for the Champions League. This is from scratch. And here's Manchester United rolling along, getting nowhere, unless they give this man, if he is the right man, the power to do what needs to be done. The way they're going, it doesn't look like that.
Hold with us there for a second, John. I want to go to Tala because St. Pat's are playing Cesca Sofia in the Conference League. Stephen Doyle should be there. Stephen, has been another goal.
Yes, it's gone to the visitors, Nathan. It's St. Pat's 0, Cesca 2, and it all came from a very controversial free kick over at the right touchline. The St. Pat's bench absolutely outraged when the right back went down for a free kick after a challenge by Atakai, the St. Pat's sub. Turretsov, the man who went down, wins the free kick, and after a prolonged treatment spell, he really did look okay, to be honest with you. They took the free kick and a crossfield ball into the goal scorer Maurizio, and it came off Maurizio, and it came up then off the St. Pat's defender's hand. Brockbank, the right back, and he can't really have any complaints because it came off his hand. He was kind of putting his hand out, and then also had a little tug at the jersey of Maurizio. Referee pointed to the spot, and the ball, just to add insult to injury, was put into the back of the net from the penalty spot by Turretsov, the man that won that controversial free kick. So 83 minutes on the clock. Pats need a goal to stay in the tie, to take it to extra time. It is St. Patrick's Athletic 0, Cesca Sofia 2.
Yeah, so they need a goal. They need a goal desperately, St. Patrick's Athletic. John Giles is with us. We're just talking about Antonio Conte, and Tottenham started the season 4-1 victory, coming from behind to beat Southampton. It is the first week, so everyone's allowed to make wild assumptions of what's going to happen. But looking at that Tottenham squad, John, do you think that they can aspire for more than just a Champions League place? Like, is there enough there that potentially they could keep pace with Manchester City and Liverpool?
I wouldn't be sure that they keep pace with the two top teams, Nathan. But I think they'll be up there. You know, I think that there won't be any easy matches against Spurs, and he's got better players in now as well. So I don't think they'll be yet good enough to challenge the top teams. But I think they'll be better than they were last year, and they're moving in the right direction.
Like, they scored 4 goals at the weekend, and none of them were scored by Harry Kane or Heung-min Son. There's a depth to that squad, and maybe a depth of character as well, that other players are now starting to step up to take a bit of responsibility off Kane and Son.
Oh, I'd have no doubt that would be the case. Well, they bought Rick Arlison, didn't they? Arlison from Everton, as you know, for 50 mil. I think he was injured.
Yeah, he was suspended last weekend. Yeah,
but you know, if either of those, funny enough, I've never been a big fan of his, to be quite honest, Nathan. So I was surprised that he bought him. But he is a good player, and he'd be a good stand-in for either Son or Harry Kane.
Yeah, well, there's a bit of nastiness in Richarlison as well, John.
They mix it around a little bit, you know.
Yeah, I was just saying.
But I think the other players that he brought, I think he brought 4 players in last year, and they were very good. Never really heard much about them before, and he's brought another couple in now, Nathan. But you know, Conte knows what he's doing. He knows the players that he wants. Now he's got Levy backing him. He's getting the players in that he does want. So they'll be a threat, and they'll be very, very difficult to beat, Nathan, by any team.
We're going to take a quick break, John, because we haven't even got to Manchester City or Liverpool yet, and I know you've got thoughts on Leeds as well. We'll take that quick break, and we'll get more from John in a moment.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky, don't miss Brentford versus Man United on Saturday Night Football. Live, only on Sky Sports.
Moncrief.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds absolutely awful. And I mean, tradition is not an excuse for cruelty. So I'm sure we would be encouraging Kerry to change that tradition to something a lot more animal friendly that doesn't involve torturing a goat.
Moncrief.
Brought to you by Avant Money.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on News Talk.
Looking for a last-minute midweek getaway? At gobreaks.ie, prices start from only €95 per night, and you can save up to 25% on incredible 3, 4 and 5-star hotels, with added extras like free breakfast. Whether it's a short break before back to school or some late summer leave, find the best midweek deals and go explore, go experience with Go Breaks, as recommended by News Talk. Go Brakes. T's and C's at gobrakes.ie.
Tired of forking out for fuel? Had enough of packed trains and buses? Then an electric bike from Eurocycles.com could be all you need. Want to explore Ireland's new greenways the easy way? At Eurocycles.com, we have a huge range of e-bikes from the biggest brands like Scott, Raleigh and Bergamont. So, if you're wondering, can I be electric too? Yes, you can. Drop in for a free test ride today at Eurocycles Airside, Swords and Long Mile Road. Or buy online at Eurocycles.com.
Coming soon, a sci-fi sequel that's driving critics wild.
I'm back, Mary. It's time to celebrate.
Time is the one thing we can't afford, John.
You're wrong, Mary. With M50 video tolling, I can save time, money, and pay me tolls automatically.
This is the greatest story ever told. Time Saver 2, out now. Perfect for occasional M50 road users. No fees associated with this account. Sign up at eflow.ie. Tolling is a vital source of funding for the operation and maintenance of our national roads network.
Could passengers of flight HN 101 please proceed to bagging area where you may or may not collect your bags?
Ever wanted to know exactly where your luggage is? With Bluetooth trackers from Apple and Tile, now you can. Place the tracker into your luggage, then use the app to find them. Trackers can help you locate your luggage on a map and even show you the last time they were with you. Trackers, available now from Harvey Norman, your technology specialists.
Go! The uniform is ironed, the copybooks are fresh, the bags are waiting at the door, you are ready for back to school. Wait a second, you have to feed them too. Don't worry, at Lidl there's bags of savings to be had. We've got a healthy 25% off loads of lovely lunch stuff like yogurts, meats, cheeses and juices through the Lidl Plus app. Now that's an inflation-busting offer worth studying. Make school cost less with Lidl. More for you.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky, don't miss Chelsea versus Spurs on Super Sunday. Live, only on Sky Sports.
Into the final couple of minutes in Tala and St. Pat's, 2-0 down against CSKA Sofia. So 2-1 on aggregate. Controversial penalty for the Bulgarian side inside the last 10 minutes. Turitsov scored it and Pats need a goal. We'll be across for the full time with Stephen Doyle in a couple of minutes time, but John Giles is still on the line. So I speak about sort of wild pronouncements after the first weekend. A lot of people feeling the title's already done and dusted. Liverpool drop points, Manchester City win, and Erling Haaland proves, after a disappointing Community Shield, John, that he is very much the real deal with his 2-goal brace. What did you make of Haaland's performance last weekend?
I thought he was outstanding, Nathan. He's finishing on. I mean, he made the penalty for himself because he was so quick getting to the little through ball that he was after and enticed the keeper. I think the keeper felt very, very confident that he was going to get it, but he was so quick that he got to the ball first, and the goalman pulled him down, as we know. And the second one from play was very, very impressive. I think it was De Bruyne ball through. And it was amazing the way he did it. Now, he's obviously left-footed, and the ball was on his right foot. And he did a big swing around the ball with the pace that he has, so he didn't lose anything, to get it on the inside of his left foot. You don't see many people doing that, but it's his pace. His pace is one of his big attributes, because if you have the pace that he has, he gets the ball quickly. There's more time on the ball than most players have, especially when the goalkeeper's coming out. And he certainly has the confidence to do it. I thought that the second goal was brilliantly taken. The penalty he took away, no problem. But the second goal was a through ball that he finished up on the right-hand side of him. He was able to run around it to get it on his favourite left foot and get a better angle at the ball. It was real top-class finishing, and I think he scored a lot of goals for them, Nathan.
Yeah, it was real top-class finishing, like everything you want from a striker, where even though it's happening at 100 miles an hour and it feels like it's moving at 100 miles an hour, everything just seemed to slow down around him. He's able to take it on at his own pace, which, you know, from listening to you talk about great strikers you've seen, that you played with, that you played against, like that's their greatest attribute, that everything slows down when they get in that position.
Oh, yeah. But they're able to create a position, Nathan, that, it looks easy. You know, when he was taking the ball away for the second goal, it looked like, well, it's easy. He's on his left foot, and the goalkeeper's always looking a million miles away from the ball. That's all the great strikers do, if you look at them over the years. But I think he's especially good because he's so quick, and he's so powerful. I think he'll get a lot of goals in the air as well. but he's really good on the ground, and I think he's about 6'5" or something, Nathan.
6'5",
and
yeah.
You don't get lads of that size as well balanced and as quick as he is. I think it'd be a huge success for them.
They've made some changes over the summer with Raheem Sterling going to Chelsea, Gabriel Jesus going to Arsenal. It looks as though Bernardo Silva surprisingly might be on his way to Barcelona. Zinchenko left as well. And along with Erling Haaland, it's only Calvin Phillips that has come in. Did you see anything different from City last Sunday?
Not really, Nathan. I'd be amazed if Silva goes. I think if I'd have been, for what it's worth, I would have sold the lad to Chelsea.
Sterling.
Sterling. I would have sold Sterling. I don't think he was doing it occasionally, more for England than he was for Manchester City. So there was something. I think he wanted to get away, and I think he was right to let him go. But I wouldn't let Silva go at all. But what was it? They won well against West Ham. West Ham had a few injuries, Nathan. But to be honest now, I wasn't impressed with City at the weekend. Now, people were making a big deal of the possession and the passes. They had 831 passes, Nathan. And they scored 2 goals. Right? Now, I think if you're making that many passes, you should be scoring more goals from them. But there were passes that made what's happening to them a lot. They played to Grealish. The good passing, get to Grealish, and 9 times out of 10, Grealish pulls out of it, passes it back, and they finish up at the back at the halfway line again. That's why there were so many passes. But my take on it would be when Grealish gets it, you've got to insist, take the full back on. Well, that's all your good passing. Get into a position, or Foden on the other side. As soon as they've got to take the full back on. It's no good pulling out of it and starting all over again. Of course, there's a lot of possession. But when you're playing against the better teams, you've got to take, after getting into that position, you've got to take them on and make goals and chances from that particular position. So I think that it looks good with the amount of passes they had, but I think the amount of passes that went to Grealish and Foden, Grealish in particular, shouldn't have been another 10 passes, 15 passes in the game. Grealish should be doing his stuff, taking them on, scoring goals himself, but particularly taking ball and getting them across, maybe getting a corner kick. But you've got to make the move when you've had that many passes into the wingers. That's what they're there for.
Guardiola seems to think and take the opposite point of view to that conventional wisdom of, as you say, maybe the best way of unsettling a defence is to run at them, to get them disorganised. He's often spoken about this sort of 15 pass rule that he has, that it's impossible to carry out a transition between defence and attack without 15 passes, and that in those 15 passes you totally disorganise the opposition defence, and that's what breaks them down. So possession for possession's sake, some might look at it. He seems to look at it actually that he feels that possession is the best way of getting through an opposition defence.
Well, he's a great manager. He's proven to be a great manager, Nathan. But what he's actually saying there would be against all the things I believed in and was told about when I was a kid. But Jimmy Murphy was at Manchester United. Jimmy Murphy told me when the ball's played, you've got to get turned, and the first thing you look for is a through ball. That's the first thing you look for. Now, if a through ball's not on, then you do something else. But that's the first thing you look for, and always be looking when you get the ball at any time. Can you put somebody through? Can you put somebody through? I think what Pep is saying there, we're going to have 16 passes before we get into an really attacking position. And that's what they're doing. I mean, they had 831 passes in the match, and they scored 2 goals. Now they won the match well. Now West Ham weren't at their best; they had a few injuries. I think City were going to beat them anyway. But I don't agree with the principle. I agree with the principle of sometimes it takes 16 passes to get where you want to be. But I wouldn't look at it as a policy. I'd say get the ball out to Grealish and the winger, whoever it might be. Get the balls out to them if they're on, and let them do their stuff from there with the fullbacks. Or you have a great midfield player like De Bruyne is a great passer of the ball. He sees a pass. For him to go on the ball, the first thing you look for, kind of stick Howling through, or anybody else for that matter. And if you can't, then you play another one. Then you play another. Sometimes you play 16, but you wouldn't set out to play 16, Nathan. I don't believe in that. There's times you have to do it, but I think the first thing you're looking for is the first one. Can you put somebody through? Then if you don't, you have to play it again. But I think what's happened with City, with the amount of passes, 831, you get it out to Grealish, and if you go back on the match, loads of times he went down to Grealish, he pulled out of it with his right foot, played it back, and before you know, it's back in City's half. Now that's passing. But you're not going anywhere. Grealish should be taking the full-back on, or Foden, whoever's on the other side, should be taking the full-backs on and making goals from that position.
It is going to be fascinating, John.
From my own, what I tried to play when I was playing, and was told to play by Jimmy Murphy particularly, that if I was playing the Leeds team with Eddie Gray on one side and Peter Lormer, Bremen and myself, you do that, you get it out to them, now they have to do their stuff. Eddie Gray beat it. Peter Lormer only needed half a yard to get the ball across. That's the end product of how you get into that position in the first place. If you get the wingers like Grealish particularly pulling out, giving it back again, and before you know you're back in City's half. That's why they had so many passes. But you're not going anywhere on that. And you should be making the most of the position that you get in about the opponent's box. That's my take on it. And I can't see. I think he's a great manager as Guardiola, but to say that you're looking for 16 passes I don't see the common sense in that, Nathan, for what it's worth.
It's worth plenty, John. We'll come back to Manchester City. I just want to go across to Tala because the full-time whistle has gone and Pats are out of Europe, Steve.
They sure are, Nathan. It's finished St. Patrick's Athletic 0, Saskia Sofia 2, and the match is finished with a bit of a brawl on the pitch because it was a very bad-tempered game, you'd have to say, right throughout, and both teams really were, shall we say, a bit of grit housing, Nathan, going on during the game, and there was a few cards divvied out by the ref, fair enough, but it was just there was an underlying kind of a bad feeling to this game. And at the full-time whistle, there was a bit of a set-to between Adam O'Reilly, Jamie Lennon was getting involved, the two St. Pat's midfielders, and also the left-back from Saskia Sofia, De Neuer, who we think has got a red card. And he was walking over to the far side of the pitch after the referee came in when both sets of players had come in to stand up for each other. And it looked like Adam O'Reilly got a red card for St. Pat's. And a big coming together between the two teams. Supporters really enraged by what was going on, and some of the play acting going on the Saskia team right throughout this game. But De Neuer was brought over to this near side of the pitch, and it looked like there was a bit of something went on between himself and Chris Forrester, the St. Pat's playmaker. Then Forrester ended up holding his face, and all of a sudden De Neuer was grabbed by the scruff of the neck by one of his own backroom team and scooted off the pitch as quick as possible and out to the dressing rooms. So we've had a red card to both sides to finish off the game, but look, ultimately St. Pat's will be really disappointed that they couldn't threaten the Saskia goal enough during that game. They did get through, they were penetrating into the final third, but they just couldn't get the right man on the ball. Adam O'Reilly found himself in the attacking third 3 or 4 times with brilliant chances to either shoot a goal himself or set somebody else up, and you're kind of thinking Owen Doyle was the man that you needed in those situations because he didn't get on the ball enough tonight. And of course, as we know, he was the man they really spent their budget on at the start of the season. Owen Doyle coming in from the English First Division, and a brilliant career he's had over in England, but he just didn't get enough chances tonight to shoot that goal. None, in fact. It was always Adam O'Reilly, who really is a holding midfielder and was the wrong man in those situations. But the first goal coming in the 11th minute, header at the back post from Maurizio, and that really, after that, Pats grew into the game. They were the much better team, you'd have to say, throughout, and came on the second half, played another really good performance in that second half. But the second goal killed them really. That controversial free kick given to Saskia Sofia from that crossfield pass into the box. Maurizio was tried to control the ball in his knee, came up, hit the hand of Brockbank, the right back for St. Pat's, and then he had a little bit of a tug on the shirt, and you couldn't really argue about the penalty being given, and it was slotted home by the man who went down for that controversial free kick, the right back Turitsov, and that made it 2-0 with about 8 minutes to go, and Pats just couldn't find that chance to level the match on aggregate. So it's finished 2-0 on the night to Saskia Sofia. They go through 2-1 on aggregate.
All right, thanks a lot for that, Steve-O. Yeah, looking at the replay, incredibly harsh decision on Pat's ball. Clearly comes off the opposition attacker first and deflects onto the hand of the Pats defender. Really shouldn't have been a penalty kick, and they go out of Europe. John Giles is with us. Means Shamrock Rovers the only team standing in Europe, John?
Yeah. It's a tough go, but I think Rovers look like a very, very good side, Nathan. I don't see much of the League of Ireland teams, to be honest. But I think Rovers are the best bet.
Yeah, they are, yeah. Guaranteed now to be in the group stage of the Conference League as well. So you'll probably see a bit more of them, actually, over the next few months. They'll probably be on TV in England as well, I'd imagine, once that starts. Let's wrap up on last weekend, John. Liverpool then. A 1-1 draw with Fulham. So we saw Liverpool the week before, and it was a real high energy, right at it performance against Manchester City in the Community Shield. And then even Jurgen Klopp himself admitted that their attitude looked to be all off against Fulham. Never got to the pace of the game, and in the end were quite fortunate, it seemed, to come away with that 2-2 draw.
Well, you'd have to give Fulham a great deal of credit, Nathan. They were typical of a team, a good team, coming out of the second division, first home match against a team like Liverpool, to make it very, very, very difficult for them. They're going to be a difficult team to beat. This Marco Silva, I think, has done a good job with Fulham. And it was just their spirit. They were never going to give Liverpool any room to play. And that's a typical performance from a good second division team playing the likes of Liverpool in their first home match. I can only go back on my own experience when I went at Leeds and we got promotion, and we were straight into it, Nathan. Making it difficult for the opposition, and that's what Fulham did. And I think they'll continue to do that, and I think they'll do well. I think they caught Liverpool by surprise a little bit, and they could have won the match in the end, but Liverpool, being the great team that they are, got the draw from it.
So you don't think there's any reason to panic just yet?
No, not at all. I mean, they've got Nunez, the new lad in, one of the new lads in, looks a real winner, Nathan. I think the couple of players that Liverpool, again, got through in the summer to strengthen them will prove to be really top-class players for them.
What about in midfield? Thiago is injured again, and they've had consistent problems with him and injury since he arrived at the club. When he gets a run of games, he does look top class, but he just hasn't had enough of them. And it did feel that Henderson and Thiago, it all just seemed a little bit slow in midfield. Is that an area where they could find some trouble this season? Well,
I don't think they've had a really, really top-class midfield player with all their successes. They never had a Graham Souness, for example. No, not many teams do. But they're all good players, but they don't have that classic midfield player that dictates matters for them. But they've such really, really top-class players at the back and at the front, Nathan, that they get through on it. But I think, and I have thought, and I think they're a great team, Liverpool have been for a few years, they're really, really general in the middle of the pitch would really make them unbeatable, I think. But they haven't. I mean, as you mentioned, the players there, a lot of good players. They're good players, but you can't see any of them say, well, this fella's going to dominate in the middle of the field. But they're a good all-round team. But I think they need somebody like that to be even better, unbeatable nearly, if they had a general in the middle of the field that gets on the ball, distributes it well, knows when to hold it, knows when to distribute it. Graham Souness could do that brilliantly, but there's not many Graham Souness around.
No.
But they so many Salah and Firmino, terrific players up front. They've got terrific players up front again now with the buying that they've made. So they'll take some beating, and again between themselves and Manchester City. But Fulham were very, very good, and they did not make it easy for Liverpool.
One last one then to wrap up, John. Leeds United, I know at the end of last season you were very concerned about relegation. They managed to survive. Jesse Marsh just about got the job done. He was talking pre-season about actually just a little bit of weight of expectation coming off everybody's shoulders, that for the first time since he got the job actually everyone could relax a bit and he could have proper conversations without the stress of relegation hanging over everybody. They got off to a good start last weekend. They got a win. Was there anything enough there to give you some hope?
Well, they got 3 points, Nathan, which is the main thing in it. I think I think Wolves had a few chances. I think their manager wasn't happy that they were beaten. I think it still could be a long, hard season for Leeds. Don't forget, they sold 2 of the best players, Nathan. Phillips has gone to Manchester City and Rafinha's gone to Barcelona. I mean, it's very difficult to do what they're doing. I mean, if you sell 2 of your best players, then you're not buying in the same caliber of player. Do you know what I mean, Nathan? Like they got 100 million in, and they're spending say 50, half the money out. Well, you want to have geniuses in a club, getting the players in and getting the players out to make that successful. You'd want to have some spotters. I mean, these are 2 of the best players. They sold for, I think, 100 million between them. I don't think he spent anywhere near 100 million to replace them, Nathan.
No, that's for
sure.
So
you want to have a good guy there to be able to sell 2 of your best players and do better with players who you wouldn't expect to be as good as the ones you've sold. The best way to do. I think the best way for Leeds or for any club was to keep 2 of your best players and buy in two really, really top class players to help them on. Not sell 2 of your best and then hope that the 4 players, I think they brought about 4 players in, are going to be better than the 2 you let go.
Yeah, the
manager's got a big job on. Let's put it that way. I mean, they got a good win. It was a good start, good 3 points to get going. But it's a long, hard season, Nathan.
The one boost for them is that Patrick Bamford is back and has had a full pre-season and looks fit, and he really is a game changer. Yeah,
he's a biggie for them. There's no doubt about that. And they went all last season without him, and he's their leading goal scorer. So that is a big plus for them coming in. So we'll wait and see, Nathan. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for them. They got a good start. They got 3 points off, so that's a start. But in principle, I can't see how you can sell 2 of your best players, get 100 million in, and then spend 50 million. It's the people who are doing it will want to be very, very good planners and spotting players.
Yeah,
more than good, Nathan.
I think so. They're playing Southampton on this Saturday. John, great stuff as always. We'll talk to you next Thursday.
Thanks, Nathan.
John Giles with us every single Thursday night. If you ever miss it, just subscribe to the OTB Football podcast feed. You get all our podcasts. You get Lee Grace up there tonight as well, talking about Shamrock Rovers and everything that we do across the week. And a reminder, 2 live commentaries this Sunday, as always, on Off the Ball. Pats out of Europe, beaten 2-0 on the night, 2-1 on aggregate by Sofia. Back in a moment.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky, don't miss Brentford versus Man United on Saturday Night Football. Live, only on Sky Sports.
Looking for a great value break in Ireland this summer? GoBreaks.ie will find the best hotel deals for you from just €95 per night.
Go Breaks.
This summer, we're raising the bar at the Guinness Storehouse and taking our famous gravity bar to new heights. So alongside the breathtaking views of the city and an amazing pint, you'll enjoy Ireland's highest garden, a specially curated botanical installation, as well as cracking live DJ sets 7 days a week. Make great memories and experience the height of summer by booking at guinnessstorehouse.com. Be drink aware. Visit drinkaware.ie.
Beacon South Quarter, Ireland's premier interiors destination. For the widest choice of furniture for every room in your home from our interior stores, including Beau Concept, Caligaris, Cube Kitchens, Roche Boubois and Soul Lifestyle. Located beside exit 13 off the M50, visit us today. With our amazing range, you won't leave empty-handed. It's what's on the inside that counts.
We can all see how conflict affects energy supply and prices. More than ever, we need to be mindful of how we use energy. By reducing your use, you can save money and lessen the impact. Here's how. Only heat your home to the temperature you need. Use appliances efficiently. And where possible, outside the peak hours of 4 to 7 p.m. Consider walking, cycling or public transport for short journeys. Drive at lower speeds where safe to do so. Government advice and supports are available for homes and businesses to help you meet this challenge. Find out more at gov.ie/reduce your use. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
OTB Sports, in association with Cabri FC, are returning with a monster football roadshow. Coming your way, August 17th.
Football legends Michael Owen, Ian Wright,
Emma Byrne and Karen Carney will be our guests at Vicar Street as they look back on their playing days and preview the new 2022-2023 season.
This is an exclusive off-air event and tickets are limited, so don't delay. Go to otbsports.com/events.
And remember that the ticket proceeds will go towards supporting Irish women's grassroots football.
T's and C's apply.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky, don't miss Chelsea versus Spurs on Super Sunday. Live only on Sky Sports.
All right, it is Thursday's football show. Nathan with you. Mick is in studio. How are you?
I'm good, Nathan.
Two people with 3 points apiece in the OTB Sports head-to-head fantasy football league.
God, I'm amazed we've made it to Thursday night without discussing our glory.
Well, I am delighted, and this is the great thing about a head-to-head league. I had the second lowest amount of points of our entire league. But I was up against Team Will.I.Am of William O'Callaghan, and he had only 45 points, so I won by 9. Whereas you left it late.
Oh, my God. So, poor Emma up against me in the league. Very, very good team she had out. She went with Núñez.
Risky.
You know, there might be a little bit of Liverpool loyalty there, I would say.
Can't let that affect your
he got a goal.
He did.
He did okay, but I was surprised to see him on the team, but I was like, oh, there's no Haaland there. Okay, I'm going to have a chance no matter what happens here. Haaland does the business, gets his 2 goals, but it still leaves me 2 points behind as football concludes. I'm like, right, he's got to get the bonus points. Haven't paid that much attention over the years. I was thinking, is there still 3 bonus points a game? You know, and I was like, I wasn't sure though. And I check it then Monday morning. He gets all 3. I win by a point. Poor Emma. I actually haven't. Emma works in the morning shift and I work the afternoon. Haven't bumped into her yet. Haven't bumped into her yet to try and rub it in. You know, because obviously these things have to be met with the worst possible grace.
I like your team name. Coutures.
Yeah.
After Philippe Coutinho.
Yeah, I might have to change that after his performance on Saturday.
Hallions, Shane Hannons. Yeah, top of the clops. Emma. We can see a pattern emerging there.
I'm kind of winning here so
Foden,
far.
Cameron's. Enter Shaqiri. Out of date now is the problem.
Yeah.
For Keane.
He's obviously done that 12 years in a row here.
As is mine a bit. Mine is Ben Foster and Alan. You know, Foster and Alan.
Yeah, I don't mind that though.
I could change it to Fraser. I could change it to Forster and Alan.
Yeah, there you go. You're forcing that one though a little bit.
Gangsters Allardyce. I like that.
Who's that?
That's Alex.
Okay.
Hen Tags 15 is Tommy Rooney. That makes no sense.
No, absolutely awful. But I think he is. I think he did have the most points of anyone this week. So I'm
Carrick
sickened
Yellow is David's. Don't understand that. And Varanchester United is Sam's.
Ah, Sam.
Some people say fantasy football conversation.
United.
Some people say fantasy football conversation on the radio is the peak of sports radio right now. So what I did, right? Day one.
I was just about to say I don't care about your fancy team, and nobody else.
I have a 10-year-old and a 9-year-old who are obsessed with fantasy football. Okay. So day one, when it was updated, they were on team picked. So I picked my team and said I'm going to leave it now until 2 days beforehand without doing all the messing and all that. So I took a screen grab of my original team, and my original team would have had 76 points. And I ended up, I think, with 54 with all the changes. I did the last minute change from Haaland to Kane.
Yeah.
And that was a very, very bad decision.
No.
But I've gone straight back to Haaland. Sunday night, before the price changed, all of that. So I'm all in on Haaland this weekend.
Okay. All right. Okay. I was in another head-to-head league where I drew. So it's like of the 2 head-to-head leagues I have, there was two different scores, 1 point apart out of the 3 teams involved. But it was against my cousin, who I think is 13, maybe 14. He won't forgive me for this if I get his age wrong. But you know, you would think that as it was coming down to it, I was there going, you know, look, he's, you know, I hope Keane wins this. But I always remember that when he was very young, I played him in FIFA. He was about maybe 8 or 9, and he won the game. And of course, I let it be known. Look, this is definitely, I let him win. He's only a kid. But he beat me real life that time, and it's hurt ever since. I did try my best against an 8-year-old and lose at FIFA. So when I got that 1 point against him in fantasy football today, it feels like I got some revenge.
Don't worry, folks. We're going to keep the fantasy football talk to the very last moment of Thursday night's show. One of the greatest moments of parenthood is when you batter your kids in FIFA and they leave the room in floods of tears, and you still take enjoyment from it.
So I wouldn't know anything about that because I'm so bad at FIFA.
Why would I go easy? He's not going to learn to play better if I go easy on him.
I'm a perennial Division 10 player, Nathan.
All right.
Unfortunately.
That us done?
I think we're done.
OTB AM is back tomorrow morning at 7:30 with Owen and Aisling on the show. Mark Lawrenson is on from 7:50, so set your alarm for Mark Lawrence, or even for 7:30 you get Owen and Aisling before that. Jenny Claffey's in the studio on Serena Williams. The final quick picks of the year, the standings. Don't know if there's a prize. Aisling will be giving her top GA moments of the year. Crappy quiz as well. You're on.
I haven't played since you beat me there.
Sorry, what's our actual out time here?
We're
well over. Just because somebody's done a crappy quiz website but leaves out half the results. So Will O'Callaghan last week was boasting. But I was like, I won the last quiz before this, and it's not even on there. So it's a load of nonsense. On that note, good luck.
Richie's up next.
Give him a ball and he out of grass.
Listen live or listen back on the News Talk app, powered by Go Loud.
Our grandfather founded Stafford's Funeral Homes in 1953. Generations later, the people